Hey guys, and welcome back to this wonderful series delving into the strongest Pokemon of a certain type for every game. We've come a very long way, and now we're here. The final episode in this series looking at the Dragon typing. This is about as simple a video as we're gonna get, as most of these games really only have one viable Dragon type that makes any sense to use. Or at least, that's the case for the first few. It's when we get to later generations that suddenly Dragon type has more options instead of just one or two per game. While the Dragon typing was once a rare, specially treated typing, it became more accessible. And there's nothing wrong with that, though you best believe these first few games are simple answers. Starting off with Red, Blue, and Yellow, there is actually one single Dragon type in all of Kanto, and it's the beloved Dragonite. You have two different options when it comes to obtaining Dratini. You can either buy one for 2,800 coins in Red, or 4,600 in Blue at the Rocket Game Corner, or you can catch one in the Safari Zone by fishing it up with a Super Rod. Well, when it comes to Yellow, you can only reel one up in the Safari Zone. That basically means you're not going to have a Dragonite until pretty late in your gym challenge, seeing as Dragonair won't evolve until level 55 anyway. It's not worth using Dragonite at all in these original releases, but that isn't the point of this series. The reality is that it's the strongest Dragon type to use because it's the only Dragon type to use. Next up is Gold, Silver, and Crystal, and this one offers a challenge to Dragonite's position as the only Dragon type with Kingdra. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on your opinion, despite the fact that we have a second option now, Dragonite is still the choice here. Or maybe it's Kingdra. See, here's the thing. What makes for the better choice here lies in how you choose to play the game. Some people really don't want to take on the gym leaders out of order or potentially mess with the story, but you do have the option to go fight Price long before you take on Chuck. And you need to face Price to be able to use Whirlpool. The only Horsea in the game that you can find are wild in the Whirl Islands. And of course, you need Whirlpool to get in there. Also, on top of that, in order to get Kingdra, you need to hope the Horsea or Seadra you capture is already holding a Dragon Scale. And then, you'll need to catch it. So, for Dragonite, you'll basically need to buy Dratini in the Goldenrod Game Corner for like 2,100 coins. It's a very similar go-around to the Kanto games, where you get Dratini earlier on and need to work to get it to Dragonite. So, which is better to use? Well, Dragonite will take you a long time to get via training, and Kingdra will come a little later in the game due to when you get into the Whirl Islands. Dragonite offers more coverage with its move pool, but running Surf and even Twister on Kingdra before getting Dragon Breath is actually pretty solid too. I'd not suggest using either of these Pokemon, but since that isn't an option in these videos, I'm going to go with Kingdra. When you probably end up with Dragonite, it'll probably be around the Elite Four, and that just takes too long. At the very least with Kingdra, if you get a Seadra with the Dragon Scale, you can immediately evolve it, and have it use powerful Water-type moves. Maybe even throw on an Ice move. You guys let me know what you think. Let's move on to Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald. And this one is pretty easy. It's going to be Flygon. You get Bagon so late in the game, it's a total non-factor in anything but the Elite Four. And don't even forget about having to train it. Altaria, unfortunately, isn't in a good enough spot yet to really be worth using either. Now, with Flygon, you can at least get Trapinch in the desert after the 4th gym and have a Flygon eventually. It's going to use moves like Crunch, Dragon Breath, even Earthquake when you eventually come across it. I don't really have much to say about it outside of that. I know you guys love Flygon and probably won't fight me on this one, so I'll move on. So, for Fire Red and Leaf Green, it's once again Dragonite for the same reasons as Red, Blue, and Yellow. Alright, Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum. Come on. In Diamond and Pearl, there is literally only one option, and that's of course Garchomp. It's a later game add, as you can't get access to it without Strength, but that's fine. Even if Garchomp is the last Pokemon you add to your team, grabbing Gible from beneath the cycling road in that cave, and then training it will enhance your team majorly. Now, in Platinum, Altaria becomes a Dragon type you can use too. But hey, Garchomp becomes even easier to get in these games, as Strength is no longer needed to get Gible. It has that major power behind it with Earthquake and Dragon Claw, among other moves. It's a great time turning to Garchomp in these games. As for Heart Gold and Soul Silver, this time, I think I'll say it's Dragonite. It's really hard to disregard the coverage Dragonite can get in these games. And while it'll take a while to evolve Dratini in the Dragonair and then Dragonite, it's not as big of a deal this time when there is so much coverage in the pool. I again suggest not using either of these Pokemon, but hey, I personally would use Dragonite and thus think it's a little better than Kingdra for a playthrough. Alright, so in Black and White, there were a couple of dragons introduced aside from the legendaries, Haxorus, Druddigon, and Hydreigon. Well, Hydreigon is absolutely not an option, as Dano is caught in Victory Road, and that's literally as late as possible. Then Druddigon, well, Druddigon sucks. Why would you ever pick that? That leaves Haxorus by default, and you can grab Axew in Mistralton Cave. It doesn't turn into Haxorus until level 48, but it's all good, as even running with Fracture for a bit is solid. Its access to Dragonclaw is of course a decent stab turn, and it has a few different bits of coverage in its pool, though not as many as you'd probably like to have. At the end of the day, it's really the only decent option anyway. So in the sequels, now that there are more options, we actually go from Haxorus to Flygon as the best dragon type to use in these games. Trapinch is found pretty early on in the Desert Resort, and Flygon is able to make use of good stab moves like Dragon Breath and Earth Power. It's not imperative to use a dragon type in Unova, but if you're going to in your sequel adventure, just use Flygon. You'll have a great time with it as opposed to Haxorus, even with the ×4 ice weakness. 2 different stab typings and some decent coverage options in the move pool definitely pushes Flygon over the top. So for X and Y, there are a bunch of different dragon types floating around. You can find Haxorus, Salamence, Kingdra, Flygon, and the several new dragon types introduced with the new generation. However, never mind any of those, because come on, it's Garchomp. Now, keep in mind, I say that knowing full well that you can't actually Mega Evolve Garchomp in a regular playthrough, though that doesn't even matter, and its power isn't going to be understated. Gible is found during weird Landshark stuff on Route 13, which is before you head to Lumiose for your gym battle. Now, there are dragon types that appear sooner, that's very true, but none of them are as good as Garchomp. The move pool on Garchomp is great, with plenty of coverage and strong stab moves, and its base 130 attack stat means you'll hit just about anything like a speeding truck. Considering there are so many options in X and Y for dragon types, I'm open to having my mind changed in the comments, but I just can't bet against Garchomp here. Alright, in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, it actually isn't going to be Flygon this time around. No, instead, I'm going with Altaria for one obvious reason. It can Mega Evolve. Mega Altaria is, in my mind, a bit underrated for a Mega, as it brings a unique Dragon Fairy typing into battle and has the Pixelate ability, which can turn the move Return into something massively powerful. It can learn Dragon Dance to set up with, and if you add in something like Cotton Guard, it can even build up its physical defenses. It might be mostly in part because of its Fairy typing it gains, but Altaria is the best Dragon type for the Hoenn remakes. So, for Sun and Moon and the Ultra games, I'll spare you guys too big of a spot here. I've spoken so much about it in the past, it's Salamence. You can get a level 9 Salamence very early into the game by encountering a Bagon, forcing it to call for help in battle, and then hoping it calls for Salamence. If it does, you'll be faced with the difficult but possible task of capturing it. And it'll be comically underleveled. That said, it'd be ridiculous not to want to use Salamence if you can get one that early on. So it's obviously the best dragon type for both releases. Alright, for Let's Go, we once again look for Dragonite since it's the only dragon type available. This is Dragonite's best appearance in a game so far, as it has a lot of good moves which can be gotten by visiting the move relearner or just generally via TM. Alright, and now for our final game, Pokemon Sword and Shield. There is an absolute mismatch of dragon types in these games, well over a dozen Pokemon to choose from. I brought it down to 2, Dragapult and Dracovish. Both of them were newly introduced Pokemon, and for a playthrough, either of them brings almost unmatched power. Now, I give this slight edge to Dracovish because it's a lot easier to get than Dragapult, but neither one of them is really wrong. Dracovish is a busted Pokemon with strong jaw and vicious rend. And while in Sword, it's a little more of a chore to get the fossil pieces needed for it, but it's still totally worth going out of your way to grab. As for Dragapult, you need to find a Dreepy, and that means searching for a specific max raid den and actually getting it to pop up and then capturing it. It's also a ton of work, but Dragapult is a speedy, powerful dragon worth using. It'll just take a while to evolve. I think Dracovish is the winner here, but you guys let me know what you think. I'm curious if you guys perhaps believe a different dragon type is even better to turn to. Alright, that is going to do it for this video and for this series. It was a real fun one to go and look at every single game and determine the best Pokemon of each typing to go with. I may even revisit this at some point. Perhaps look at what the best Pokemon to use in every game actually is, using some of the choices from this series. If you're interested in that, let me know. For now though, I'm going to wrap this series and video up here. Thanks for all the support, and I'll see you next time. Hey, welcome to my new outro. A big thank you to everyone for watching the video. I want to give a huge thanks to my phenomenal team, and for the amazing art done each week by Danny the Demon. I couldn't do all this without them. If y'all enjoyed the video and want to see more content like this, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Be sure to leave a comment too. It really helps us out. I have a brand new TikTok for Mystic Umbreon, and I've got a goal to get 10k followers over there. If we can hit that goal, I'm going to pick a random video suggested to me by you guys and do it. So go over there and leave a follow. Also, over on Mystic Sage, we've still got 2 videos going up every weekend. We've got content from My Hero, to Demon Slayer, to Dragon Ball, so come and check it out. And also check out Mystic Sage on TikTok. Finally, I've got an Amazon store where I sell tons of cool stuff. I think I'm gonna wrap this up though. I'm Mystic Umbreon, and I'll see you next time with some more amazing Pokemon content.